She is a visual artist. She uses found objects, you know? I always think that's so cool, people who do that. And she also is a writer, and she is a paddle surfer. What is that exactly? That sounds pretty cool. I'm not sure what that is, but she's a paddle. Oh, I guess it's when you go like this, right? Oh, it's that thing. Oh, she's a paddle surfer. And on top of all of that, she has 2 adult children, and she's in the throes of empty nest syndrome. So she has to tell a story tonight. Let's welcome to the stage Hannah Cox.
My heart is beating. My chest is full of fear, and I have to pee. It's too bright outside my window. I hear a leaf blower. I hear a siren. I know what that means now. It sounds like 2 trucks this time. The one that came for him drove methodically through the lights, telling me the story before I was ready for it. I pick up my big iPhone. Only 2:21 p.m. Already tried a cigarette and a hike before napping. Now napping is done. How am I going to get through the time until I can go back to bed? The beach. Walking the beach. Obsessive visits have filled my time since it happened. I fill my woven shopping bag with limp, sandy crabs, gooey mollusks, bits of shell, seaweed, coral, pieces of my heart. You're tall. That's the first thing I ever said to the man who would become my surprise lover in middle age. I can't remember his face that night, just his presence. Steady, safe, big. I got a call from my friend around 5 p.m. Come for a drink. I want you to meet somebody. He's just lost his wife and he's not ready to date. So why am I meeting him? Future reference. At the restaurant, he collected the facts. Where were you when he told you? Were you suspicious? Why did he leave you? Screenwriter, pain in the ass. But it was good. It felt good. At the beach, after a swell, treasures just appear at my feet. I make a sort of artistic assemblage with them, giving them new life in a different shape, forcing something to make sense. I use marine-grade plywood. Lasts a lifetime. Whose lifetime are they talking about? He invited me to Burbank to the stables to see the horses. He told me to wear proper barn shoes. We walked up and down the aisles, talked to the horses, smushed their snotty noses, let them lick. We didn't touch each other. I got thirsty. He said, "There's a hose." I didn't think about the hose having been on the ground with God knows what horse-related germs on the spout. I didn't care about those things. Neither did he. So I drank. I passed the test. We came to a picnic table finally. I asked him if he'd had a good marriage. He said she'd been his best friend. There are trophies at the beach. One extraordinary day, this is what I see. Purple, spiny sea urchins, cowrie shells, and abalone scattered across the sand. I could pick them up like candy, handfuls and handfuls for free. But they're alive. I have a rule, nothing living. But I want them so badly. My heart is pounding like crazy. And this must be what people feel like when they're about to steal something from a department store. But here, nobody's watching. Not even God. Definitely not God. I pry a cowrie off the rock, despite the desperate suction fight it makes. It slithers back into its shell. It thinks it's safe in there. Has no idea about the possibility of random lightning or a sudden heart attack. I pull off another and another. Maybe if I collect enough beautiful things, I can fill the empty place. Line them up on a shelf and look at them over and over and over, willing them to soothe me. Like the hours spent chopping food together, sitting close on the couch, eating on TV trays, watching some comedy show I didn't care about, but didn't care I didn't care about. Finally, in bed, His hand slid under my thigh. Thought I couldn't sleep touching, but he showed me how. Every moment like a tiny, shiny something from the beach, strung together into hours of happiness. I put the cowries on a rock at my feet, pristine, like shells from a shell shop. Then, carefully, I put them back in the water. They're safe, because in the end, I cannot choose death, not even a little one. I finally look out at the ocean. It's hard to look at the landscape as a whole. I'm liable to see the spot where it happened. Paddling on huge surfboards as big as refrigerators. He'd finally gotten the hang of it and was struggling, but was still struggling to keep his balance. So proud. Then I noticed that he was sitting on the board, his great white legs dangling in the water uselessly. We got out, walked back up the beach. He nauseated, unusually large beads of sweat on his forehead, but playful as usual, spanking me with the paddle. And I, as usual, collecting things, trying to collect things, but checking on him sideways every few steps. And then out of the corner of my eye, I see him fly up and back as if shot in the chest. He lands at the shoreline, the small waves breaking at his side. And I scream. I scream for help. I pick his head up off the sand and look into his eyes. Like plastic. Curly little lashes framing his small lost eyes. I can see that I won't be able to say goodbye. The waves break and break. End of their trip. But in my head, they keep coming. A memory washes in, and I can turn it over and over like a sea star in my hand, marveling. When I would be frantically cleaning up my room, hair crazy, sweaty, and I would turn with a shoe in my hand, and there he would be standing in the doorway, his big, quiet self, with a smile on his face, watching me, bemused, and I would shriek in surprise and beat him for scaring me, and he would chuckle. I want to go to Paris with you. I want to walk with you in Paris. We just met 8 days ago. I know, but I keep thinking about it. It just seems like you'd be the right person. We got to go to Paris. It was perfect. It seems like every shot shows us with our arms around each other's waists. Evidence. It was real. I scan the beach for oval shapes one more time. My mesh bag is full. This is me now without him. Tiny broken pieces rescued from oblivion, from slow, inevitable crumbling. Find anything good? A man comes into my peripheral vision. Yes, I show him. That's a keyhole limpet, he tells me. Oh, I've always wondered what they're called. What do you do with them, he asks. I use them in my artwork. We walk. See these? He shows me a little olivella shell. The Native Americans use them for money. Huh. He knows about shells. I wonder how. I'm a lifeguard at Paradise Cove, he says. I go numb. Did you hear about the man who had a heart attack at the beach? Of course, he says. That was my boyfriend. You must know the young lifeguard who did mouth-to-mouth on him, I say. Yeah, really shook him up. It was his first year as a lifeguard. Oh my gosh, I didn't know. Poor kid, I say. We walk some more slow steps, looking down for shells, but not really. You know, people ask me if we do a lot of rescues, but I say no, we don't really have a riptide there. How old was he? 56. Men need to have their hearts checked, I tell him. My cousin just had a bypass, he says. Well, there you go. And he smoked, I add. He stoops down. Here's a good one, still pretty shiny. I know he wants it, but he hands it to me. Thank you. He stands back up and looks me straight in the eye. I needed to have that conversation today about my heart. I smoke. That's all over now. Driving back down PCH, I realized that this thing that happened, this loss, it wasn't just mine or our families. It happened in the world. It's a story now. At home, I rinse the sand off things I've collected, then lay them out on a paper towel. Maybe I'll wash off my feet, maybe I won't. I play with my new finds, and I move them here or there, until finally the way they look as a whole corresponds with some inner template. Then I glue them onto the plywood and enclose them in a plexiglass frame with a door so people can open it and touch the jewel-like objects. This is an idea of me put back together, arranged in a way that looks random, but isn't. It's my way through.